on video?
Yeah.
Really?
No. Alright, we've been factoring for the last couple of weeks, so now we're going to use factoring to actually solve. The test is going to be on Thursday. I got 8x plus 3 times 2x plus 1. We turn to purple is equal to 0. After we do this one, I'll have to reorient it again. Alright, so getting into solving quadratics, which you remember from Algebra 2, we had lots of different methods. We could do quadratic formula, we could do factoring, we could do completing square, we could do taking square roots, all that. So today's lesson is just going to be about factoring. But what we notice about this particular problem is it's already factored. I could unfactor it by multiplying those together, FOIL it, or whatever you want to call it, but it's already factored. So to solve this by factoring, or solve it anyway, I'm just going to set each of those factors equal to 0 and solve it like it's a little middle school equation. So I'm going to have 8x plus 3 equals 0, and I'm going to have 2x plus 1 equals 0. Now we've got two-step equations to solve. Over here with the 8x, what's our first step?
Subtract 3.
Good job, Mason. Gets me 8x is negative 3, then what? Good, Hayden Mason. So x is negative 3/8, and that's it on that side. Okay, easier one to solve here because it's more, well, I mean, it's not easier, but the numbers are more normal. What do I do first? So 2x is negative 1. Last step. You got it. So that's it. Now, I normally probably, if I were writing my answer on this, I would probably just write x equals negative 3/8, comma, negative 1/2, and circle it. And that's fine if you do that. I looked to see how this book wrote them because that's how your test will have it. And it put them in the set notation. Remember those fancy squiggly things? That's how it put it. So probably will be that type of choice on your test. Hope you get a crick in your neck.
It wasn't very nice.
Alright, that one's already factored, so the rest of the ones that we're going to do today, we are going to have to factor. Maybe that shall be better.
Now, like the banjo.
Banjo. That's a lot better. 3x squared minus x is equal to 4. Alright, when we're solving these, we got a 5-step process we got to go through. Step number 1 is make sure it's written in standard form. Is that in standard form?
Yes.
Remember, standard form, when we did quadratics in Algebra 2, is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Does that one we have look like that? Not yet. It doesn't. What can we do to get it there?
Add 0.
Subtract 4. Thank you there.
That's what I meant.
GT. Okay. Now we're in standard form. That was step 1. Step 2 is the longest of the process. It's to factor. So that's where we're going to do most of our work on this. So on that trinomial, do we have a GCF? No. Good answer. It's trinomial. There's no GCF. So what do we got to do to start factoring it? Good. Michael, A times C. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Factors of negative 12 that add negative 1 are, this is where you answer. Factors of negative 12 that add to negative 1.
4, negative 3.
Other way.
Negative 3, 4, negative 3.
Negative 4 and 3. Because we need a bigger one to be negative to get a negative 1, right? Now, this A, I thought you had to do it. I'm sorry. That A is a 3. It's not a 1. If it were a 1, we could just write those as factors and be almost done. But when it's not a 1, that's when we got to substitute these in for the middle one and do the grouping. Okay, so that's what we're looking at now. Do you think I'm going to leave these in the order that I wrote them here, or do you think I'm going to flip them?
I think you're going to flip them.
I probably am, Chase. I wonder why.
Because I think that 3 go with the other one.
Good. We got a 3 first and a 4 last, so I want to put the 3 next to the 3 and the 4 next to the 4. So I'm going to write 3x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. Probably would have worked the other way, but better safe than sorry. Save yourself a little bit of time. Now we got the 4 terms. We can split that into 2 equal groups.
That's right.
Yes.
Can I see grade payment, please?
Yes. What's the GCF of my first group?
3.
3 what?
X.
Good. Take 3x out. If it was 3x squared and I took a 3x out, what's left? X. It was 3x and I took a 3x out.
3.
I took it out.
No, nothing.
0.
1. 1.
Yeah, I said that.
Remember, 3x divided by 3x is 1. Alright. I need to get an x plus 1 left in the second set too. So what am I going to take out that's going to leave me with a positive x and a positive 1? Negative 4. Alright, so to write our factors out of that, you take what you had twice times what you factored out. Now, all last week we were done there. We factored it. But today we're taking it a step farther and solving. I told you there was 5 steps. Step 1 was we wrote it in standard form. Step 2 was all of that, factoring. Step 3 has a fancy term. It's called the, I don't even remember, it's so fancy. It's called the zero factor property. The zero factor property just means I'm going to take both of my factors, or however many I have, and set them equal to 0, which is what we did on that first problem. So x plus 1 equals 0, 3x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, so standard form, check. Factor, check. Zero factor property, check. Number 4, solve them. Well, this one's a tough one. I hope you can get it. Okay, all right there. Add 4. 3x is 4 divided by 3. 4 thirds. Alright, so standard form, factor, zero factor property, solve. What do you think step 5 is?
Check.
Yep. How often do we do that? Chase is right, it's check.
Never.
We need to do it a little bit more often than never.
Oh.
Just a little bit. All of them we're going to have today are going to work. But we will get into some stuff later, the next week or two, where they don't, and we got to check them. Remember in Algebra 2, we had problems sometimes, y'all be quiet, where we did a whole lot of work and we got an answer, but then we plugged it back in and it didn't work. You remember what that was called, other than a pain in the butt?
No non-factorable.
Extraneous. An extraneous solution. So it's possible that you could have extraneous solutions. Today we're not, so all these work. So I am, like y'all were saying, circle it or write it or whatever. That's it. Right, Michael?
You good, friend?
I'm tired.
Somebody took my spot.
You know, you turn your chair that way, you can probably turn it the other way just as good.
No.
I don't think it'll make it, honestly.
Alright, we got 16m squared plus 24m plus 9 equals 0. Step 1, standard form. We there already? We need to move anything?
We're there.
We're there. We're good to go. Good job, Zane. Step 2, factor. Alright, options for factoring this one. The A's not 1, so it's trinomial, so you're looking at A times C. You could do that. You could figure out what 16 times 9 is and then list its factors and find the ones that add to 24.
That'd take a
You
long
could do
time,
that,
though.
but that would take a long time. How I know this one could be a little bit quicker, 16m squared is a perfect square.
4.
Square root of that's 4m. Very good. Last term is a perfect square. Square root of 9 is 3. When I multiply those, 12m, is that half of 24?
Yes.
Yes. So that means I can write this as a perfect square trinomial. Square root of the first one, square root of the last one. Alright, so standard form, check. Factor, check. Factor property, zero factor property, set them equal to 0. Do I got to set them both? There are two factors there, 4m plus 3 and 4m plus 3. Do I need to set them both equal to 0? Right, you're going to get the same answer, so you don't have to actually work it out twice. 4m plus 3 is equal to 0. Solve. Subtract the mundo. 4m is negative 3 divided by 4. Negative 3/4.
Oh, I'm so smart.
Now, you would actually get negative 3/4 as an answer twice, right? Because it was squared. So you would get that as an answer twice. You don't have to write it twice. There's a fancy math word that we did in Algebra 2 that starts with an M when you have an answer more than one time. Remember what that is?
Nope.
Multiplicity.
That's
So
fun.
we could say
Multiplicity.
that negative 3/4 has a multiplicity of 2 because we would get that answer twice. Okay? That's not in this lesson, but it'll be coming up. Whoop, whoop. It's good look you got going on there.
There we go.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind hair if hanging over yours, dude.
Maybe if you would cut it, it would be.
Yeah. Maybe if you trim it up a little bit.
No, then it looks stupid. It's like,
I think I remember the very first time I ever had you. You had a buzz haircut, didn't you?
Go ball.
First time you had me, I did.
Go ball. And
Not really.
I can't remember you with one.
Grow
I had hair
ball
like that.
and grow your beard out.
Like Michael's.
Like it seems like every time that I get my hair cut, I shave it like right before, so I've never had short hair with my beard. It's never happened.
Go ball.
What beard?
I got a beard.
Excuse me. B squared, or P squared, P squared plus 12P equals 0. Now look at a couple of special ones. These are easier to factor in my opinion when you're missing one of the terms like a squared plus b, ax squared, I'll start saying the Pythagorean theorem. Ax squared plus bx plus c. This one's missing a c, isn't it? We can put a 0 in there if we want to, but you don't waste the smartboard, you can do that. So, easiest thing to do when you're missing a c, you should notice when we start to factor that there's a GCF. What's the GCF? P. There we go.
Well.
Take a P out. Leaves you with P plus 12 is equal to 0. Now, number 2 factor, you're done. That won't factor any farther. Number 3 on the checklist, use the 0 factor property, set them equal to 0. Both of these get set equal to 0. So P equals 0, and look, that one's already solved.
Hey, I'm so smart.
And then P plus 12 equals 0.
0 or negative 12.
Get you negative 12. That's it.
That's easy.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people will forget that 0, but 0 can be an answer on these. Don't forget it.
Going down on it.
What did you just say?
Is this whole year gonna be like factually reviewed from last year?
Get some, a little bit more than that.
That's the librarian.
You're gonna get hard.
No,
Dang it.
it's a little bit large.
So trigonometry.
I like the challenge myself.
You're gonna
Yeah,
do your college
like
next year.
All the time I've watching.
Take an ACT
It's
yet?
only like,
You haven't taken a P score?
I won't worry about it.
No, I think it's a 19 in math and reading. Take college
I
algebra.
made a 20.
Oh, wow.
What'd you get in reading?
I don't know.
I will. Don't show. When did they take it? I will.
I will.
Well, they take it any time, but the free one is
Yeah,
in
the free one.
March. Some sort.
I wish I could take it again. I got to take it 2 years. Free one. I didn't do any better the second time. Yeah, no.
I got a 20.
I just forgot to sign up for
Me and Nate are going.
Alright, this one's says 5x squared minus 80 equals 0. Told you we had a couple of the special ones. What's special about this one is it doesn't have a b. I got an a of 5, a c of negative 80, but I don't have a b. So there's a couple of different ways I can do this. I'm going to show you both. You can choose your favorite. First thing, if we stick on our checklist, it's in standard form, check, factor, there's a GCF. Okay, so I would take a 5 out, because 5 will go evenly in both of those. Leaves me with x squared minus 16 is equal to 0.
Is that 80?
Uh-huh. Now, that 5, on the previous problem we had a p out there, so we said, yeah, p equals 0. But I can't do that here. This is a dummy answer. 5 does not equal 0. Never will, never has. So you can forget about the 5 for now. It's your dummy answer. You're done with that. Just finish factoring. This is a difference of squares. So I've got x plus 4 times x minus 4. Set both of those equal to 0. You get negative 4. And surely, y'all can skip some steps in this. I don't know. Maybe all of you do show all those. I doubt it though. Alright, so there's one way you could do that. Sticking with your list, factoring, we took out a GCF. Other way you can do it, anytime you're missing a b, you can just solve it algebraically like you did when you were in middle school. You can say, well, I need to get the x all by itself. The 80 is being subtracted, so I'm going to add 80 to both sides. So that would get me 5x squared equals 80. Now I'm trying to get the x all by itself. It's being multiplied by 5, so I'm going to divide everything by 5. That would give me x squared equals 16. Trying to get the x all by itself, it's being squared. How do you want to do a squared? Square root. And here's the trick. Here's where some people, you won't because you're smart, but some people will go wrong here because they'll forget when they square root 16 and get 4. Because 4 times 4 makes 16, right? So does negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is also 16. So anytime you square root, it's got to be plus or minus. So plus minus 4, plus minus 4. You get the same answer either way.
What about the 5?
5 doesn't equal 0. You throw it out. It's a dummy answer.
Okay.
Yep. Now, if it's a variable, you put it equal to 0. But if it's a number equals 0, you chunk it. Hit the road, Jack. Take it. All right, we got a couple more. Maybe 3 or 4. Oh, you did that way. 16 minus 2. Alright, I got a plus 6 times a minus 2 is equal to 2 plus a minus 10. Step 1, standard form. I mean, heck no, I don't even, that's not anywhere near standard form. So what can I start doing to try to get it into standard form?
Can't you just subtract all that?
I am going to have to move everything over at some point, but I can't yet. There's something I need to do before that. Yep, start multiplying on that left side. You got it, dude. So first, gets me a times a is a squared. I'm going to skip a step here, so check this out. That's negative 2a. That's positive 6a. 6a and negative 2a is a positive 4a. And then just bring down that other side. Now I'm ready for what Mason said, and I can start moving the stuff on the right over. Is that good, or do you want to do something to the right side first?
Can we combine the
Good saying. You got like terms over here, and I missed that first period. I still got the same answer, but it was weird. 2 and negative 10 is negative 8, so this would be the same as a minus 8, right? So now I'm going to subtract the a from itself and from its like term on the other side. 8's being subtracted, so I'm going to add it to itself and its like term on the other side. So I got a squared. 4a minus a gives me a positive 3a. Negative 12 and 8 is negative 4. Standard form? Yes, finally. That one we had the most work to do to get to standard form. So now we're ready to factor. Good thing this one is a short factor because my a is 1. I don't have to do the grouping stuff. A times c is negative 4. What factors of negative 4 add to a positive 3? Attaboy, Mr. Chase. So I got a plus 4 times a minus 1. Now, if you're told, and this is where you got to read the directions and see what you're supposed to do. If you're told to factor, we did, you're done. If you're told to solve, can you yet look at these numbers and know your solutions? You better be able to. Because they're just opposite signs, aren't they? Okay, if I had a plus 4 equals 0, gets me negative 4. A minus 1 equals 0, gets me positive 1.
So can you do that with all of them like that?
As long as the A is 1, yes. Right here, as long as this is a 1, understood 1. Good deal, Lucille. Two more. Wow.
Is it?
I can hear it.
What song is it?
I can't make it out, but I can hear some.
Oh, okay.
Is it bad?
No. Good song.
What is it?
It's Justin Moore. Small Town USA.
Did you hit Hunter?
Huh?
Did you hit Hunter?
Who's on it?
I mean, he has a black eye and your knuckles are all scratched up.
No, JT hit him.
Who's JT?
Nuh-uh, baseball got thrown at him.
Yeah, he got hit by a baseball.
So who'd you hit?
He hit a
I
bat.
feel like I'm talking to my dad. Who did you hit?
Hang on, let me turn on my hearing aid.
My knuckles are
I hit a quarter.
What?
A quarter hit my knuckles.
Well, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You ever played quarters?
games like that where we try to make each other bleed.
Yeah.
Ow! What?
I won.
You played?
Yeah.
I got
Negative.
some quarters.
Yeah.
Good play, Quinn.
But you can hit my left knuckles because these are
Alright, we got 3n cubed plus n squared is equal to 4n. Okay, we've added an extra power this time. It's n cubed instead of n squared. All that means is that I can have 3 answers instead of 2. Whatever your highest power is, whatever your degree, that dictates how many answers you're going to have. I can still put it in standard form even though it's not squared. They just got to go in descending order, and I got to be set equal to 0. This is not set equal to 0. So what are we going to do?
You're gonna set it equal to 0.
How?
Try
Thank you. 3n cubed plus n squared minus 4n is equal to 0. So standard form, check. Factor, do I got a GCF?
yes.
What is it?
10.
Uh-huh.
I was getting there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Alright, so we took an n out. Now, and the variable can equal 0. So we're going to have n equals 0. So that's going to be one of our answers. Remember, it was a dummy answer and didn't count when it was a number equal to 0. Because any number other than 0 doesn't equal 0. Alright, so now we've got to factor that trinomial. A times c, we already took GCF out, so there's not one. A times c is negative 12. We had some 12 factors earlier. What's the factors of negative 12 that add to positive 1?
Negative 3 and 4.
Good. No, you got that right. Now, I like the order that Mason told them to me in also because they're already in the order I want them. The 3 will be close to the 3 and the 4 will be close to the 4. So I'm going to have 3n squared minus 3n plus 4n minus 4. Group them up. GCF the first group.
3n.
Uh-huh. Leaves me with n minus 1. GCF the second group.
Negative 4.
Nope.
4.
Positive 4 leaves me with n minus 1. So we got an n minus 1 twice. We factored out a 3n plus 4.
Wow.
So we wrote it in center form. We factored. Now we got to set those factors equal to 0. N equals 1. And Caleb is correct. negative 4/3. So I write these, and you don't have to write them in numerical order, but most times if it's a standards-based test like ACT or something, they'll be in numerical order, least to greatest. So I would have negative 4/3. Don't forget that 0 that we got earlier. And then 1. That's it. I got one more. Drop the key.
Dash. Yummy.
Alright, word problem. Woohoo! A farmer has 300 foot of fencing and wants to enclose a rectangular area of 5,000 square feet. What dimensions should he use?
Rectangle.
Alright. Said he had 300 feet of fencing. What term do I need to know if he's putting fence around this area?
Perimeter.
Perimeter, very good. So perimeter is going to be 300 feet. And I know that perimeter is length plus width plus width. Okay, so far I'm there, right? I can go a step farther in this. This is a word problem about a farmer putting up a fence, but this is about factoring also. So what do you notice here about this? Is there a GCF? 2. So 150 has to equal the length plus the width, right? Okay. I said he had, how much land was he fencing in? A rectangular area of 5,000 square feet. So this is exactly like our A times C stuff now. I need to find what multiplies to make 5,000 and what adds to make 150.
150. 150.
Okay? Let's check that out. This would be like, and he's right, but this would be like when we did A times C and had that here. 100 times 50 is 5,000, right? 100 plus 50 is 150. So that's a pretty friendly one there. They gave you some good stuff. First period, it took them a while. We had to start listing some factors of 5,000. Luckily, some of them got it before we spent forever on it. But there's a lot of factors of 5,000. So, but that's what you would do. 1 times 5,000, 2 times 2,500, and keep going until you find the ones that satisfy that. So the question said he's got 300 feet of fencing, wants to enclose a rectangular area of 5,000 square feet. What dimensions should he use? Well, we would just say 50 feet by 100 feet. And it'd be up to him to decide, or her, or whatever the farmer is, to decide which one they want to be the length and which one they want to be the width. That's a pretty cool problem because that's just a silly word problem about building a fence, but it connects directly to factoring. So I like that. Alright. I do have exit question for you today.
Yay!
I will hit the button and get you a spot to answer it.
I need fellow Banks, Zane Ferguson, Grace Taylor, Sean Tashado, and Carson Humphrey to the high school office, please.
Get the crunch in your butt.
It just showed up